This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, am I audible to you, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we are going to talk about anesthesia machine. Well, I'm Dr. Vamsi from the Department of Anesthesia. So this is the gentleman who has invented this anesthesia machine, previously known as Boyle's apparatus. His name is Henry Edmund Gaskin Boyle. He has invented this in the year 1917. It's a modified machine manufactured by James Guattami. So let's know something about this Boyle's machine. So it has this components in it, which are there even in on today's Boyle's apparatus. They are the 4 nitrous oxide cylinders, the reducing valves with the spirit lamps, which are not there now, 1 oxygen cylinder, we have a rebreathing bag, and a face piece mask. Timeline. So previously, when the Boyle's was invented in 1917, so in the year 1920, he has an addition of ether bottle. So ether is a volatile anesthetic which is used to give anesthesia. In 1926, they have added this chloroform, and in the year 27, they have added a back bar. A back bar is just a metallic rod on which this ether bottle and the chloroform bottles are mounted on. In the year 1930, they have addition of plungers and cowls, which I will be discussing in the coming slides. In the year 1933, a dry bobbin flow meter replaced the water seed feed bottles. So a dry bobbin flow meter is used even on today machines. And 37, you have introduced this rotameter, and in 1979, they had introduced some standards for anesthetic machines. So these are the models which are available in India, just for information sake. So you can identify 2 images here. One, on the left side, you can see the traditional Boyle's apparatus, and on the right side, you can see the anesthesia workstation, right? So this anesthesia workstation is a very complicated and complex machine which is used to deliver anesthesia nowadays. So what are the functions of a workstation? So they use it for safe provision and delivery of anesthetics, backup supply of gases, respiratory support, monitoring of the machine function. It also monitors the patient. It is useful in maintaining the record keeping. So what is record keeping here? It is nothing but maintaining the patient's blood pressure, heart rate, mean arterial pressure, oxygen saturation, and even the abnormalities in the ECG waveforms and some what you call the PVCs or the VPCs. That means premature ventricular contractions. It also records the missed beats, the latest advanced machines, and anesthetic gas scavenging system. So what do you understand by the scavenging system? So when we are giving anesthesia to the patient, you will be delivering anesthetic gases. So these anesthetic gases can also be inhaled by the anesthetist who is providing anesthesia, by the surgeon, by the nurses, by the working staff who are all involved in the operation theater. In order to prevent this from happening, they have introduced this anesthetic gas scavenging system, which scavenges the anesthetic vapors entering into the theater's atmosphere. It also has a suction regulator, which is used to suck off any amount of secretions from the patient's oral cavity. It has supplemental oxygen, work surface, and storage facility for items like emergency drugs, regular items, IV sets, disposable syringes, central lines, arterial catheters, etc. And it has some electricity sockets. So when you come to an anesthetic machine, you have 2 components in an anesthetic machine. The one is the electric component and the second one is the pneumatic component, right? So let's go into the details. So this is the electric component. In electric component, you have a master switch. Here you're seeing a master switch on the right side. Here you can see on, and here it is on the standby mode. When you switch on the machine, then it activates the electrical and pneumatic function of the anesthetic machine. If you do not switch on the machine, whether you want to give anesthetic gases or oxygen, nothing will function. The electric components also has power failure indicator. So in power failure indicator, you have this visual or audible indicator to alert the provider of the power failure. It also has a reserve power. For example, if a patient is under general anesthesia and his lungs are being maintained by the anesthetic machine ventilator, then if you have an electric circuit breakdown and there is no power, this reserve power helps in providing the energy required for the ventilator to function. So this backup, you have an UPS may also be added, and it also displays the amount of charge displayed left over on the anesthetic machine. Likewise, we have for our smartphones, like the percentage of charging available. Electric components. So you have this electrical outlets. What is the importance of these electrical outlets? They are intended to provide monitors, power to the monitors. They are also used to have like circuit breakers, which are used to protect from any overload of the currents. It also has some data communication ports. So what are these ports? These are the communication between the anesthetic machine and the data management system. So what do you understand by the term data management system? Anyone? Hello? Hello?
Input, sir.
Okay. So this data management systems, they are nothing but the Philips multi-parameter channel monitors, like a monitor which has what you call this ports for ECG, electroencephalography, electromyography, even used to, like for example, what you call this BIS monitor, that is bispectral index monitor, which are used to detect the depth of anesthesia, and the normal sphygmomanometer, an electric sphygmomanometer, a pulse oximeter, a capnography, all these come under the data management system. So this anesthetic machine has the communication with this data management system and gives the output. So now we are coming to the pneumatic system. So in physics, you must have seen this 100 kilopascals is equals to m bar, that's equals to 760 mm of Hg, 30 centimeters of water, and 14.7 psi, which equals to 1 atmospheric pressure. This is only for calculation of the anesthetic gas which is present in the gas cylinders. So this pneumatic system, it is again divided into three types. One is the high pressure system, intermediate pressure system, and low pressure system. Let's go into the details. This is the high pressure system where the oxygen is at 2000 pounds per square inch case and nitrous oxide is at 745 pounds per square inch case. Now if we can see this line which is dividing this one, this is the intermediate pressure system where you are getting a pressure of 45 to 50 psi and 50 to 60 psi, right? So these are the pressures which are being reduced to this. And the third one is just above the atmospheric pressure. So what is the importance? So here what is happening if you are, okay, there is one straightforward question to the students. So what is the pressure in our lungs? Can anyone say the normal pressure in our lungs in pounds per square inch case? Anyone? Okay, fine. So the reason for decreasing the pressure from high pressure to the intermediate pressure is if you deliver a pressure of 2000 psig to the patient, then the patient's lungs will be like exploded. There will be ventilator induced barotrauma. In order to prevent the barotrauma to the lungs, we decrease the pressure from 2000 psi to 45 psi. So a brief note on the cylinders. So these are the color coding cylinders. Can anyone say blue color stands for which gas? Anyone? Hello?
Nitrous oxide.
Yes, good. Nitrous oxide. And the left side is for? It's for oxygen. So this is an important MCQ. While you go for examinations, you will be giving this color coding of the cylinders. For example, black body with white shoulders is for oxygen and blue body is for nitrous oxide. But this color coding is different in America. In America, this black body with white shoulders is not for oxygen. It is in green color. Okay, so this is a bit in depth for cylinders, which are for postgraduates, not for you. You can just remember this as it has some three parts. One is the body, and here is the valve. Valve has a stem and the spring and a port, and here you have the handles, which are used to lock and unlock the cylinder. So how do you lock the cylinder? Clockwise is lock and anti-clockwise is unlock. Clock and lock. This is the code. So again, at the stem of the cylinder, you have these two depressions. One is the conical depression and other is the pressure relief valve. So everyone, we are having the pressure cookers, which we cook rice in our homes, right? So for the rice cooker, you have a whistle, which blows when the pressure is more, right? In order to relieve the pressure. So this pressure relief device exactly functions in the same way. This is used to vent the dangerously high pressures. And this conical depression, this fits into the anesthetic machine. I'll be telling in the next slides. You have an index system known as pin index system. I'll be telling it. So cylinder testing. So how do you test the cylinder? One is the visual testing. For example, if you just see the cylinder, you should be able to say that, okay, this is blue color cylinder. This is nitrous oxide. Okay, this cylinder has blue body, black body with white shoulders. That is the oxygen, right? And other is the tensile test. 1 out of the 1,000 cylinders, they will be cut and they will be stretched. Okay, so this test is done for proper functioning of the cylinder, and the other test is hydraulic test. Hydraulic test is tested by insufflating gas. That means every cylinder has a normal service pressure. So when you are filling gas more than the service pressure, then the cylinder is tend to explode or tend to leak. So this hydraulic test is used to perform any structural defect for once in every 5 years. So these are the pressures of the cylinder, contents and the pressure. So the cylinders which we are using is size E. E stands for emergency. So for oxygen, the maximum pressure is 1900 pounds per square inch, and for nitrous oxide, it is 745. Whereas the capacity of oxygen cylinder is 660 liters, and the capacity of nitrous oxide is 1590 liters. So these are the important basic physics which are required. One is about the critical temperature, critical pressure. Again, this is for the postgraduates, not for the undergraduate level. I'm skipping this. Even the pointing effect, this is different. So high pressure system. So what are the components of the high pressure system? One is the hanger yoke, check valve, cylinder pressure gauge, and pressure regulators. Now I'll be discussing about these things. Yeah. So when you see the anesthesia machine or a workstation, so this is the body. Okay, the body, this is mounted to this machine, and this is the nipple. Okay, and this is the retaining screw, and this is the swivel gate. These are the components of the hanger yoke. So washer. You can see this image here. You're having a round color structure. This is known as washer, also known as a Bodak seal. And here, this is the nipple, which I have told you in the previous slide. And here you have the two index pins, one on the left and one on the right. Okay. So what is the importance of these index pins? Can anyone answer? Okay, I'll tell you. Yeah, so these are the index pins. So the component of the pin index system. So first we should know about the pin index safety system. For example, if you see this pins, this is 4 millimeters in diameter and 6 millimeters long. Okay, so these pins, they fit into the corresponding holes of the cylinder. Here you are seeing the stem of the cylinder, right? And here you're having the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Depending on the numbering, you can accommodate the type of cylinder. For example, if I want to accommodate a nitrous oxide cylinder, then the pin index safety system should be 3 and 5. If I want to mount an oxygen cylinder to the machine, the pin index should be at a position of 2 and 5. So why this pin index safety system has been discovered? So this is kept in the machine in order to prevent wrong connection of the anesthetic gas cylinders. For example, if I want to give oxygen to the patient, if some uneducated technician is there who doesn't know which color stands for which cylinder, at that time, if he wants to keep a nitrous oxide cylinder to the oxygen port, he won't be able to mount the cylinder because the numbering is 2 and 5 for oxygen and 3 and 5 for nitrous oxide. So now come to the previous slide. So 2 and 5 for oxygen and 3 and 5 for nitrous oxide. So a nitrous oxide cylinder does not fit to the oxygen cylinder pins. This is the importance of the pin index system. Am I clear? Next, failure of the pin index safety system. Again, for everything we have backlogs. One is breakage of the pins and fitting of a double washer, as I have told you, a Budok seal, and pushing of the pins. For example, if the pins are very much old, they have a tendency to get moved into the machine, and the holes of the cylinder too deep due to the wear and tear of the cylinders. These are the 4 things which leads to the failure of the pin index safety system. As I have told you, this is the washer, also known as Budok seal. So Budok seal, what is the importance? The Budok seal is the seal between the cylinder valve and the yoke. This fits over the nipple. You have a filter between the cylinder and the Budok seal in order to filter any particulate matter from the oxygen cylinder entering to the anesthetic machine. As I have told you, this is the yoke plug, okay, and these are the components of the yoke plug. Now we have an important thing, one, that is the cylinder pressure indicator. This indicates the pressure in the cylinder. So this is the image known as Burden's pressure gauge, okay, also known as pressure gauge indicator. So here, if you can concentrate on this image, on the left side image, I'm pointing the arrow. Here you have 2 constrictions, okay. From here, the constriction, the gas passes through this inner bent metallic tube like this, and the gas goes to this dial mechanism. The pressure from here goes to this serrations and to the clock dial, which indicates the pressure of the cylinder. So this is how a Burden's pressure gauge works. Now next, coming to pressure regulators. So what is a pressure regulator? In the previous slide, I have shown you that the pressure from the high pressure system has been decreased while going to the intermediate pressure system. So what is the pressure in the high pressure system? Can anyone answer? Hello? I need an answer. Hello? Is anyone there? Am I audible to you? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, the pressure regulators in the high pressure system, it is 2000 psi. So how the 2000 psi is reduced to 40 psi? It is due to the help of these pressure regulators. So why the pressure is regulated? Because you need to be necessitating the adjustment of the pressure in order to maintain a flow rate. I'll explain you in an easier way. So this is the basic principle. A larger pressure acting over a smaller area is balanced by a smaller pressure acting over a larger area. So this is a simple pressure regulator. Now please concentrate on this image. This is the high pressure inlet. Okay, this is the entry. So the gas passes through this high pressure inlet. So this is the high pressure chamber, the lower one, and this is the low pressure chamber. Okay. So when the pressure goes from the high pressure, here is the valve seating, the pressure pushes up this valve seating, and the low pressure enters to this low pressure chamber. And here upwards you have an adjustable screw with a spring. Okay, this spring pushes this valve downwards again when the required pressure has been attained. That is when the higher pressure acting over a smaller area equals to the lower pressure acting over a higher area. So this pressure has been regulated to the lower pressure outlet, and from here the low pressure goes to the patient. This is how a simple pressure regulator works. In the previous days, we have Adams regulator. This is also a type of pressure regulator. Okay. So now coming to the components of the intermediate pressure system. So you have the pipeline inlet connections. Sorry. The pipeline pressure indicators, the piping, gas power outlet, oxygen pressure failure devices, oxygen flush, secondary pressure regulators, and flow control valves. So this is known as DISS. DISS stands for Diameter Index Safety System. So this diameter index safety system, this is used to connect the hose pipes, that is the central supplies, to the machine. So these are the pipeline pressure indicators. So this indicates the pipeline pressure of each gas, which is around 50 to 60 pounds per square inch gas. A pipeline side of check valve, this will monitor the pipeline pressure only. So here, this is the pipeline, this is the supply, okay, and this is the pipeline pressure gauge. Piping. In previous days, copper is used, and now we have high density nylon. So this connects the individual components. This piping pressure can withstand 4 times the service pressure. So any leak between the inlet and the flow meter should not be more than 25 ml per minute. Next, coming to gas power outlet. So this is the gas power outlet. Okay. So this is the driving gas for ventilator and gas for jet ventilators. So here you have two outlets. One is for oxygen and the other is for air. Next, we have some mechanisms in the machine like oxygen pressure failure devices. For example, if you are giving anesthesia to the patient, the combination of gases used for giving anesthesia is oxygen, nitrous oxide, and isoflurane or any other volatile agents like desflurane, enflurane, sevoflurane, okay, halothane, ether, chloroform, right? So these are the mixture of gases. What happens if only nitrous oxide and the other anesthetic gases are delivered without giving oxygen to the patient? Then the patient will ultimately land up in hypoxia, and finally he will be going to respiratory failure, which leads to cardiac arrest. So that is why we have this oxygen pressure failure devices in the anesthetic machine. One is the oxygen failure safety device, and the second one is the oxygen supply failure alarm. So this failure safety device will maintain a concentration of 21%. It will not allow oxygen to decrease below 19%. And this oxygen supply failure alarm, this pressure, if the oxygen pressure falls below 30 psig, then an alarm will be given within 5 seconds. Then the anesthetist will be alerted, and then he will again rectify the correction. So this is the oxygen failure safety device. Now I'll be explaining how this device works in the next slide. So on the left image, if you can see, oxygen, you have 50 psig, right? You're seeing this image. And in the right image, you're seeing, the oxygen is 0 psi. So here oxygen is present and here oxygen is absent. So this is nitrous oxide. Here it is 50 psig, and here nitrous oxide, here also it is 50 psig. Okay, that means in the left side image, both oxygen and nitrous oxide are going, and on the right side image, only nitrous oxide is going. So how this oxygen failure mechanism works? Look at the image. So oxygen 50 psig, this will push this valve downwards, and this releases the nitrous oxide to this chamber. As a result, both the oxygen and nitrous oxide will go to the flow meter. And here in the other image, if you are seeing, the nitrous oxide is there, so it is pushing this check valve upwards, and the oxygen is not there. So this will prevent going of this nitrous oxide gas to the patient's outlet. This is the oxygen supply failure alarm. Again, this have a mechanism. This plunger moves forwards, and this pushes the failure, the Ritchie whistle, and this causes release of oxygen. During oxygen failure, the plunger moves backwards and the crank moves forwards, this whistle, and here is the air inspiratory valve from the patient's end. This closes like this. Therefore, it prevents entry of nitrous oxide and anesthetic gases to going to the patient. Now coming to secondary pressure regulators. So secondary pressure regulators, where are they mounted? They are mounted close to the vaporizers. So here, this is the second stage oxygen pressure regulator. So this secondary regulators, this causes furthermore reduction in the pressure from the primary pressure regulators. And this decreases the pressure to 26 pounds per square inch gauge for nitrous oxide and 14 pounds per square inch gauge for oxygen, which is almost half of the nitrous oxide pressure. Oxygen flush. So this is an interesting button which is present in the anesthetic machines. For example, oxygen in the oxygen cylinder has exhausted completely, and even the central supply of oxygen has been cut off or has been damaged. Then how do you provide oxygen to the patient? This is to this oxygen flush. So oxygen flush has a separate connection of oxygen which comes from the oxygen tank directly. So this is unmetered flow. This goes to the CGO, that is the common gas outlet, and this delivers 35 to 75 liters of oxygen per minute. Again, you have some few hazards for oxygen flush. One is awareness. What is awareness? Like oxygen, when you press this oxygen flush, there will be more amount of oxygen going, and there will be dilution of the anesthetic gases. When there is reduction in the anesthetic gas, the patient will come out of anesthesia, and the patient will have awareness. That means he will be awakened during surgery. And any internal leakage or any stucking of this oxygen flush button delivers excessive amount of oxygen to the patient, and this causes barotrauma to the patient. Hence, this oxygen flush mechanism is not recommended in jet ventilation. Next is the flow control valves. I'll be telling you. So this is the flow control knob. Here, if you can see, it has a fluted edge. Fluted means it has some longitudinal lines for proper grip. So here, these are the valve stops. So when you clockwise open and anti-clockwise close, when you open the valve, these valve stops enter each other, and this comes to this edge. And here you are having a needle, and this is the oxygen inlet. This needle goes into the oxygen inlet, and this blocks. So when you open it, this pin goes backwards and then causes release of oxygen from the oxygen inlet, and it goes to the, what is this? Flow meter. And this is the float. And this float, when the oxygen supply is off, this float comes down slowly, and this sits on this float stop. And recently, as technology advanced, we have this electronic flow control devices. Now this is digitalized. Here we have to move clockwise to increase the flow. Previously we have to move clockwise to decrease and anti-clockwise to increase the flow in flow control valve. Right here you can see here. The third component and the last component of the anesthesia workstation or the anesthesia machine is the low pressure system. So these are the components. The low pressure system has a slightly above the pressure above the atmospheric pressure. So what is the atmospheric pressure? I have told you in the previous slides. Can anyone tell me the normal atmospheric pressure? Hello, is there anyone else? Am I audible?
21%.
Come on, speak up. Yeah, tell me. Hope you're okay, fine. The normal atmospheric is 14.7 atm. So these are the components of the low pressure system: the flow meters, anti-hypoxia devices, unidirectional valves, pressure relief device valves, vaporizers, and the common gas outlet. The flow meter, you have the rate of flow depends on the pressure, the size, and the physical properties of the gas. So these are the flow meters you have. One is the low flow, one is the high flow. The low flow has longer and narrow constriction, whereas the high flow has shorter and wider constriction. You can see in these two images, the left side image is the low flow and the right side image is the high flow. So the low flow is for laminar flow and the high flow is for turbulent flow. Again, this is in depth for you. This is again for postgraduates. Just remember, for an MCQ, low flow is for viscosity, that is the Hagen-Poiseuille's law, and high flow is for density, that is for Graham's law. The flow meters, again, they are calibrated at 760 millimeters of mercury. Again, they are dependent on the temperature, pressure, and altitude. And this is the flow meter assembly, which I have explained you in the previous slide. And you have two types here. One is the single or double tapper, and the other is the rib guides for ball indicator. Right. So how do you read a flow meter? You have many readings on a flow meter. So just remember this. This is known as bobbin. All the four images on the right side. Always the topmost part of the bobbin is used to read. Okay. And in case if you have a ball, this is available most commonly in your casualties in ashram or in the post-operative ward where you have oxygen flow meters, and here is the ball, and the diameter, the maximum diameter of the ball should be read. Right. So this is the flow meter tube arrangement. One is oxygen, air, nitrous oxide, air, oxygen, nitrous oxide, air, nitrous oxide, oxygen, and nitrous oxide, air, oxygen. Everyone, please take a photo of this image. This is a popular MCQ which has come in the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in anesthesia bit. So what is the right arrangement? Can anyone answer? A, B, C, D? Okay, no one. The first one is wrong. Second one is wrong. Third and fourth, C and D are safe. They are right. Why? Because always the oxygen should be in the last, because the oxygen should be the last gas which should be leaving from the machine to the patient, right? Why? Because if there is any leak in the oxygen, breakage of oxygen, there will be leaking of oxygen along with other gases. The oxygen will be leaking from here and it also goes to the patient. For example, if the oxygen is in the last port and if the other two gases are here, nitrous oxide and air, there will be lesser concentration of oxygen entering from the last tube to the common gas outlet. That is the only reason why the oxygen is in the last tube. We have two types of companies. One is the Draeger and one is the Datex Omeda. Draeger uses this nitrous oxide, air and oxygen format, and Omeda uses air, nitrous oxide and oxygen. In both the companies, you can see that oxygen is in the last, going to the flow meter. So we have some problems with the flow meters. One is the inaccuracy, improper calibration, dirt in the flow meter, again the back pressures, improper alignment, and there will be formation of static electricity. As I have told you, we have some important safety devices. Here we have anti-hypoxia device. Okay. So these are the anti-hypoxia devices. One is the mechanical device, that is the Link 25 system. The other one is MMF, known as minimum mandatory flow. The other one is ORMC, oxygen ratio monitor controller. If you can see, every one of us has, done cycling in our childhood, right? From the front tire to the back tire, you have this chain system, right? The same way we have this chain system to the oxygen and nitrous oxide. So I'll just ask you a small simple question. Who is the master and who is the slave of these both things? Can anyone answer? Again, I'm asking you, who is the master here? Whether oxygen is the master or nitrous oxide is the master? Anyone? Can anyone answer me? Hello? Just say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The oxygen is the master and nitrous oxide is the slave. That is why, because the nitrous oxide has 14 gears and nitrous oxygen has 28 gears. So nitrous oxide has to turn 2 turns for oxygen to turn for 1 turn. Okay, 14 twos are 28. Understood? So the 14 tooth sprocket is attached to the nitrous oxide flow control valve, and 28 gears has attached to the oxygen. So the combination, when you move the chain links the sprocket, and when the oxygen, when you want to move nitrous oxide, it moves oxygen along with it. This is a important anti-hypoxia prevention device, because you can independently open oxygen but it won't move nitrous oxide. But if you want to give nitrous oxide to the patient, it also drags the oxygen. That means it is delivering oxygen along with nitrous oxide. So that is the main funda here, the safety system. The other one is the pneumatic device, oxygen ratio monitor controller. So this is an ORMC. Now look at this. Oxygen goes to this leaf spring contact and goes to the nitrous oxide chamber, and the nitrous oxide chamber pushes this backwards, taking in the oxygen, therefore supplying oxygen to the patient. An electronically controlled anti-hypoxia device, this is also known as paramagnetic oxygen analyzer. So this paramagnetic oxygen analyzer cuts off nitrous oxide when the oxygen pressure is less than 25%. Now coming finally to the back bar, as I have told you, this is the back bar on which this is the ether bottle and these are the flow control valves. Now I am going to tell you in brief from the first thing. This is the yoke assembly. This is the Borden's pressure gauge. Okay. This is the common gas outlet. This is the Borden's pressure gauge for nitrous for oxygen, white color. This is blue color for nitrous oxide. The blue color for nitrous oxide flow meter, white color for oxygen flow meter, and this is the oxygen flush, and these are the gas outlets for oxygen and air, and this is the back bar on which the ether bottle or sevoflurane, isoflurane, desflurane, other vaporizers are mounted. And this is the pop-off valve. Whenever, as I have told you, whenever there is high pressure in the cylinder, there will be a valve which releases the pressure, as in the pressure cooker. I have compared it with the pressure cooker, and this is the pop-off valve. So this valve moves upwards when there is excessive pressure in the machine, thereby preventing barotrauma to the patient. So this is the pathways of oxygen in the anesthetic machine. One is the oxygen flush valve. The other one is the oxygen supply failure alarm. Third one is the oxygen fail-safe valve. The fourth one is the flow control valve. One is the auxiliary oxygen system, which I have told that it has a separate connection. And these are the safety features. So oxygen, this machine has wheels, carbon coated wheels in order to prevent passage of static electricity, and these wheels can move in 360 degrees rotation, a wheel locking bar, and color coded cylinders, and two E-type cylinders and high pressure gas tubing. It has Pin-Intex safety system, pressure gauges, pressure reducing valves, oxygen fail-safe device, low pressure alarms, and two auxiliary oxygen outlets. And the other one is the flow meters. And we have a non-return pop-off valve, which I have told you now. And one is the Trilene lock. This is not used nowadays. Trilene is a previous old age anesthetic agent, which is used to give anesthesia. We have an anti-static tubing on the bag and mask, oxygen flush device, vaporizer, color-coded vaporizers, and keyed filling ports for vaporizers. So checklist, whenever you want to give anesthesia to a patient, we have entered into the last 5 or 6 slides, just pay some attention. The checklist was given in the year 1987 and we have the latest revision in the year 2008. So we'll go to the checklist. We should see whether there is a backup for ventilation equipment. What is this image? Can anyone answer this? The right side image. Hello?
Ambu bag.
Yes. Can anyone give the abbreviation of AMBU? AMBU?
Artificial manual breathing unit.
Very good. This is artificial manual breathing unit. So you need to check whether AMBU bag is present. The second one is the oxygen cylinder supply. One is nitrous oxide and other is oxygen. Okay. Again, you have an MCQ in AIMS. How do you calculate which law is responsible to calculate the oxygen in oxygen cylinder and nitrous oxide gas? Can anyone answer? Okay, I'll answer it. Boyle's law is for oxygen and Avogadro's law is for nitrous oxide. Again, this is a postgraduate topic. I can tell you how to calculate gas depending on the pressure. I can calculate the gas in liters, but it's not much so important to you. Just remember it. Boyle's law is for calculating oxygen gas and Avogadro's law is for nitrous oxide gas. This is the central pipeline pressures. Here you are seeing an indicator. On the left side image, here you are seeing it as 0, and on the right side the pipeline pressure is at 4, between 3 and 4. Okay, so here on the left side, if it is 0, then you should know that there is no pressure in the pipeline, then you cannot start a case. Fourth one is vaporizer, the low pressure system. You need to fill the vaporizer with vaporizer liquid. You need to perform a leak check of the low pressure system. You need to turn the master switch on. You need to check the flow meters, whether they are damaged, whether they are having full range, and whether they are having a hypoxia guard. You need to calibrate the oxygen monitor. The normal percentage of oxygen in atmosphere is 21%, right? And here you can see in this oxygen calibrator, it is reading 20.9. So you need to calibrate the oxygen monitor first, and you need to check the breathing system, and you need to check the ventilator system. So here the left side, this is known as reservoir bag, and this is the ventilator. Okay, this is the leak check. This is the scavenging system, which is used to remove excess amount of gases from the operation theater. And this is the calibration setting of all limits for all monitors. Capnometer. Capnometer measures the amount of carbon dioxide which is coming out of the patient. Second one is the oxygen analyzer. Third one is the pressure monitor with alarms. Fourth one is the pulse oximeter, and fifth one is the respiratory volume monitor, also known as spirometer. So the check final status of the machine. You should check whether the vaporizer is on or off. Here you can see this button on the right side. You need to push and turn the vaporizer, this dial, in clockwise direction in order to on the vaporizer. And you need to check whether the ventilator switch is in open or closed mode, bag mode. You need to check whether the flow meters are on 0. You need to check whether the suction apparatus is adequate by blocking the opening with the thumb. When you block it with the thumb, the pulp of your thumb gets sucked in. It gets a negative pressure. You need to check the breathing system, whether it is ready to deliver anesthesia. And after checking this, you can see it as anesthesia timed out. That means it has been checked. You need to check this machine completely, and you need to check whether there is oxygen in the oxygen line. Can you give a breath to the patient? Is the reassembled circuit free of leaks? And repeat this for every case. Before giving anesthesia for any patient, you need to check the suction, absorbent, vaporizers, breathing circuit, monitors, and say anesthesia timeout. So these are the minimum tests which are under life-threatening conditions. For example, you have an emergency case for which you do not have the time to do all the anesthetic machine checklist. Then you can skip all the tests and you can just check these three things: high pressure test of the breathing circuit, patient suction, and observe and palpate breathing back during pre-oxygenation. This is to ensure adequate flow of oxygen. Good mask fit is very important, and you should be able to know whether the patient is able to breathe, and the bag and ventilator switch mode, whether it is on bag mode or on ventilator mode. And remember, this checklist can be bypassed only for a limited number of times. And thanks for your attention. This is the end of the machine. Do you have any doubts, students? Hello, students?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. That ends the class.